Good day, folks, and welcome to Mr. Creepy Skeleton Stories. Today, we're going to tell you a collection of stories about ghost hunters that encounters one of the most horrific day in their life. Get ready to get scared and experience a story full of creepiness. All stories are based on true-to-life experience and might be happen to you in real life. Get ready, because we're going to start in 3, 2, 1.
Haunted by the ghost ship. I never imagined that a night of ghost hunting in a restricted place would turn into a living nightmare. As a lone survivor, it is my duty to narrate the events that unfolded on that fateful night. It all started with a group of thrill-seeking adults, eager to explore the supernatural. We gathered at the entrance of the abandoned beach resort, a place rumored to be haunted. Excitement filled the air as we prepared our equipment and shared stories of the paranormal. Little did we know, things were about to take a terrifying turn. As the moon rose high in the sky, casting an eerie glow over the deserted beach, we ventured towards the water. Suddenly, out of the darkness, a colossal ghost ship appeared on the bay. Its decaying sails billowed in the wind, and haunting music filled the night air. The sight sent shivers down our spines. Unsure of what to do, we watched in awe as the ghost ship glided effortlessly over the beach and positioned itself above the nearby woods. A harp and an organ played a haunting melody that echoed through the night, amplifying our fear. To our horror, a rope ladder descended from the deck of the ship, and figures began descending one by one. Armed with tools that gleamed in the moonlight, they approached us with chilling determination. Panic rose within us as we realized that these were not mere specters but corporeal beings manifesting from another realm. In a desperate attempt to escape, we scattered in different directions, each pursued by a relentless ghostly figure. Running through the darkened woods, I stumbled upon a forgotten underground tunnel. Desperation pushed me forward as I sought refuge within its damp and musty depths. For hours, I lay still, listening to the echo of my pounding heart. The sounds of struggle and cries of terror filled the night as my companions fell victim to the vengeful spirits. Alone and terrified, I questioned my every decision that led me to this grisly fate. As dawn broke, the ghostly presence dissipated, leaving behind an eerie silence. Slowly and cautiously, I emerged from the tunnel, praying that my nightmare was over. The once majestic ghost ship had vanished, leaving no trace of its ghastly visitation. Haunted by the memories of that tragic night, I became determined to reveal the truth behind the ghost ship and the malevolent spirits that plagued our hunt. Researching the history of the beach resort, I discovered a forgotten tale of a shipwreck that had occurred in those very waters centuries ago. Legend spoke of a captain who had met a tragic end, his restless spirit forever bound to the ship that had been lost to the depths of the bay. The organ and harp were said to have belonged to the captain's wife, who had perished alongside him. Their eternal torment was said to haunt all who dared to enter their domain. With a heavy heart, I shared my findings, hoping that others would be spared from the horror I had experienced. The haunting tale of the ghost ship served as a cautionary reminder that sometimes, even our deepest desires for adventure can lead us into the clutches of malevolent forces beyond our comprehension. Ghost hunters. Ghost hunters, Stephen and John, were always looking for the unusual, unexplainable, and thrilling places to explore. One day while browsing for haunted sites, they stumbled upon a restricted area. It was said to be bewitched by a cursed ghost. Curiosity won, and without further hesitation, they decided to explore the area. The mysterious area was ominously dark with the trees creaking and the ground covered in mist and darkness. Stephen and John were beyond terrified, but the thrill of discovering something new overwhelmed them. As they went further and further, Stephen sensed something was wrong, as if they were not supposed to be there. But his warning was left unheard. As they explored the area, they came across a crypt. It was sealed shut, but with the force of two, they were able to open the door and stumbled upon a long-forgotten chamber filled with ancient archives. The archives contained the story of a ghost haunting that area for centuries and the measures taken to contain it. They were unaware of how powerful the ghost was or the stories behind its background. Seeing no harm, they decided to open the seal and free the ghost. The very same moment, they were dragged by the unleashed force into the gate of the crypt. At that moment sprung a fierce wind and a horrifying wail. The ghost was enraged that they disturbed its curse and wanted to take revenge. Soon, pieces of ancient manuscripts flew around them as the ghost kept pounding them in agony. To their dismay, the ghost was far too powerful and they had no way of getting out. They eventually lost their conscience and the ghost devoured their life. The tragic experience of ghost hunters Stephen and John ends here, teaching us one lesson: never be too curious about a restricted and creepy area. Old Well. Once upon a time, there was a brave group of ghost hunters. With them was Randy the leader, who had been studying the paranormal for most of his life. He had a few loyal friends, Jake and Dan, who always followed him on his adventures. Randy's team heard of a haunted house nearby that everyone had been avoiding. Despite warnings from the locals, Randy believed this was a great spot for a night of ghost hunting. He and his team geared up with flashlights, cameras, and audio recorders for what would be a long night. The first few hours of the hunt went normally. They heard strange noises and felt an icy chill in the air. They took pictures and collected audio recordings of what sounded like whispers and distant laughter. As they approached the third-floor bedroom, however, things began to get eerie. The room seemed to be unnaturally cold, even though the doors and windows were shut. Tools and pieces of furniture in the room seemed to move on their own. Randy recorded something he could not explain. Suddenly, an invisible hand began to push and shove the group out of the room. They frantically tried to get away, but the invisible force kept pushing them back. The team managed to escape with their lives, but the experience left them shaken and confused. The next day, however, the horror only deepened. Randy discovered that the mysterious noises he heard in the house the night before were actually cries of pain coming from an old well in the basement of the home. When the team investigated further, they found out that the well had housed a group of slaves who had been tortured and murdered by their owner in the 1800s. It was a tragic scene, and the team quickly realized just how dangerous their ghost hunting could be. Unfortunately, this experience ended in tragedy for the ghost hunting team, as Randy now believes the ghosts were after them and trying to protect the horrors of the past from being revealed. He now lives with crippling fear and depression, unable to put the experience out of his head.